Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Webinar Wednesday from TLC. My name is Ria Stark, and today we are going to be taking a look back through history at all the ways your library automation has changed through the years. So from the great big changes between the decades to some of the more subtle changes, but impactful for the modern library solution. So this webinar will be especially useful for anyone who is evaluating their current offerings and thinking about getting a new system. And our presenter today is Tami Solum, who is an expert in guiding libraries through making those tough decisions. And Tami, thank you so much for joining us today, even though I know you're feeling a little bit scratchy throat under the
Yes,
weather.
yes. Well, thank you, everybody. You might have to put up with, like Ria said, with a scratchy throat, but we appreciate everybody being here. So, a little bit about my background is I've worked 30 years, 30 plus years with libraries, mostly in the school libraries, but a little bit I want to talk to you about today is libraries through the years. So, I think back to when I was a kid and how my mom would take us to the library and we could check out a book and we'd take it home and she would read to us. And I always enjoyed that. To when you get to go to school and you always had your library time and you could check out the book and then you were able to read it yourself. But back in those days, yes, I am that old, we had to learn how to use the old card catalog and what the Dewey Decimal System is. So things have changed quite a bit through the years. So I did start working with library automation systems in the early 90s, but back in the 80s and 90s, school libraries a lot of times were early pioneers of technology in schools. So there was the old Apple IIe's and DOS programs, but a lot of times libraries were the first ones to put networks into the whole school district. If any of you are as old as me, you're going to remember how you would network computers together so you had your online public access catalog, so your OPAC. Eventually, it went to Windows and Mac applications and cross platform. And in the end of the 90s, we actually had our web based PACs or web based OPACs. Well, through the years, library or technology in general has changed. So things progressed to web-based solutions. So now the common thing in the early 2000s was school districts went from distributed systems to centralized systems. Not only do you have the web-based PAC, but now you have a fully featured library automation system that is fully browser-based. And not just in 2020, but in 2020, it became very important to have access from home for students during that lovely year. But now it's can we access from devices and from cell phones, and that's all changed. TLC has also changed through these years. For 50 years, from a CD-ROM storage to Mark Fiche to Bibliophile to now a fully browser-based and app solution that we offer libraries.
All right, so I'm going to launch a poll in just a moment. It'll appear on your screen. So, wondering what was the newest technology that you all started working with when you were in libraries? Let me go ahead and launch that now. And we have options from microfiche or microfilm. Was it the online catalog, switching from card catalogs over to digital? Maybe RFID was the newest thing when you started. Or nowadays, looking at cloud hosting. This is a couple of highlights through time. So we also have something older, something newer, and I didn't add an option for something in between, but pick the closest one relative to where you're at. And we're kind of split right now. Some folks are saying cloud hosting. We have almost a third saying something older than microfiche. Yeah, that's great. Someone started at microfiche, so we've got a little bit of spread across the years. All right, back over to you, Tami.
Okay. So in the early days, back with the old Apple IIe's, sometimes some of the functionality was just circulation or just cataloging. But today, libraries have the expectation that they're going to have a fully function, and they should have the expectation of having the fully functional library automation systems that they can do all the functionalities that they need to perform their jobs. Some of the things that if you move from one system to the other is my check-in and check-out might be a little bit different. That's just going to be normal, but you're going to have all the different functionalities that are going to be required today.
And that is our next poll, which is, does your library management system or integrated library software, whichever you use, does it have all the features that you need? Yeah, my spotlight back on here. So yes, I love my library software, or it has most of it, or I think so. What else is out there? Or the last option, I'm looking for something else. So where do you all fall on that scale for your current library software system? And so far we've got it's split between I think so and looking for something else. All right, so if you are here, you are evaluating your system right now. That is good to know. All right, I'll go ahead and end that poll and give it back to Tammy.
All right. So why change? There's different reasons why libraries decide to change from one system to the other, and you'll see some different ones on the screen, which I want to kind of break down and talk about. But a lot of times you hear, I've outgrown our existing system. We're not getting the support that we used to get. We feel like we're not being listened to. We're just the little fish in the big pond. Or there's a lot of different reasons. And doing this for 30 some years, a lot of times I'll hear it's just not working for us anymore. So my job as a sales consultant is, okay, I need to find out what exactly isn't working and can we help you with a better solution? So first off, excuse me, improve the level of services. And this is services that you offer to your students, to your teachers, to your community. So you're going to hear me mention ease of use quite a few times because that's important. I know from working with school libraries that if a student doesn't find the resources that they want to be using, that they need, if they don't find it, they're not going to use the library catalog. They're not going to search. They're not going to use it. They're going to Google everything. So it needs to be easy for students. It needs to be good and easy for teachers as well. It needs to be integrate. Today, things integrate more with one system and another. Are you using single sign-on? What other options? Today's school districts have a lot more different functionality than they used to 10, even 20 years ago, or I should say 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Different languages. How many different languages do you have students speaking today? So again, when I'm talking about efficiency, this is something that's very common that we hear with school districts today is everybody is expected to do more, more with shrinking budgets, more with tasks that are assigned to you, more responsibilities, just more. It's everywhere and everybody, unfortunately. So again, the easy to use, having that streamlined interface to the different functions that you need on a daily basis. Do you have good self-checkout options that you could possibly use? What about scheduled reports or custom reports? A quick and easy dashboard. So the next screen here is an example that we have of this is library.solution dashboard. That's just easy access, but you get a lot of information. So sharing resources, again, in the 2000s, when that transition happened, the early 2000s, from distributed to a centralized database, you'd hear a lot about a union catalog. Well, in the earlier union catalog or centralized days, I heard a lot of librarians say, I don't want to send my books to another school because I'm never going to get it back. Well, an integrated library system should easily give school districts the ability to share resources across the district and track where is it, who has it, when is it going to be due back to the school. A teacher should be able to say, I need 15 copies of the Odyssey, and put in that request so that she can get those books for her class. Also, at a district level, school library district coordinator needs to be able to get quick and easy reports that she may need or he may need for collection analysis or budgeting or different reasons. And is that available? So inventory, one of everybody's favorite things to do that I always hear. Some states actually require this to be done on a yearly basis or maybe every other year that it has to get done. But some of the things that as a school library, um, you want to keep your library open so that you can continue to check in and check out items. So that's going to be a key component. But if you think back about 10 years ago, the cost to go from a barcode to an RFID. So our sister company actually has RFID, and we worked with Rochester City School District to put in RFID tags to all of the books so they could easily do an inventory. And yes, it is as easy as taking that magic wand, scanning the shelves, and it scans every book that was on that shelf that you wanted over. So inventory can go from being a very intense project to something that's very simple. So access to information, we did talk about the PAC or the OPAC, so an easy search and discover. So yes, it needs to be easy, but also do you have different options? Do you have an option for emerging readers? What different configurations can you do to the PAC? Is it easy to access ebooks? Can you limit your search by different genres that the library has actually set up? What languages? TLC offers Spanish and French, but also we have a language file that the district can take to create translations. So it's even more than the French and the Spanish. Is that important to your district? So here you can see a sample of our search screen in both English, and I'm not sure what the other language was, but we have the different languages available. So something that maybe as a librarian, this isn't the top thing that we think about is security. But what is important is, especially at school districts, is keeping student data private. You don't want to get that information out. And we hear a lot and read a lot about hacks or ransomware. Well, TLC, one of our top priorities is security. If you are hosted by TLC, we use Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is one of the top secure hosting solutions available today. So another reason to change is the company. When I started my career over 30 years ago, I started in technical support and eventually was over the customer services department. And I was told there's two things that make a library automation company successful. First, you have to have a really good a product that works for the libraries and is streamlined to the processes that they have. And the other part is you have to have excellent service and support to back that product. So I believe that TLC actually offers that. So one of the things we have is our community, and part of that is available is our ideas portal. So you can go in as a customer and put in any type of suggestion that you want. What is an idea that you think would actually be beneficial to add to the product? And the nice thing that I've never seen before, and I think is really nice, is you will actually see in their comments from product that could be this is considered, or it's planned, or it's actually in development. So your ideas aren't just going into who knows where. You can actually see it right through that idea portal. And customer support, like I said, that's always been an important thing, that you have that, and continue to have good service and good product. So why change? What's that process? So everybody has a different reason. Maybe the original company was acquired and they're not developing or supporting the software that you want. You're not getting the functionality that you need. But what's the process? So the first thing to think about is talk to your purchasing person. Do we have to go to an RFP? Can we purchase through a purchasing co-op or a purchasing agency? That's the first thing that I would check. But then also, what is the process? What's the migration process? How long is that going to take? So TLC is actually known for their implementation. They not just take the data as is, there's a lot of data work so that when you go live, you're going to have the best data possible. People always talk about garbage in, garbage out. we don't want that. We want you to have a successful implementation and a successful future of using the system. One of the things we just learned, and this is from a school district that just recently implemented, they said, we were just talking yesterday about how responsive and thorough you all have been. This process has been a lot, but you all have been great partners and it's been virtually painless. So one of the processes of that implementation is let the company do the work for you. Yes, you're going to have to be on phone calls. You're going to have to answer questions. We're going to ask you, how do you want things configured? What types of permissions people are going to have? What kind of single sign-on options are you going to have so that we can configure things for you. So when you're ready to start using it, it's set up to the way that you are going to need it. Not every district is set up the same way. It's not a cookie cutter solution. Also, training. Training is such a key process in a change from one system to the other. And the nice thing about TLC is that we don't do, again, it's not that cookie cutter training. We customize it to your district. Do you have central cataloging? Yes or no? If you don't have central cataloging, does every librarian catalog themselves? All those different things we need to find out so that we can train you. So when you're ready to go live, the librarians can leave the training and start using that system. And they're not going to be like, how did I do this? Which you're going to have a little bit of that. It's like getting a new car. Well, my washing system was here before and now it's on the other side and whatever. So I want to wash my windows. Things change. You have to think about it a little bit, but after you start using the system, you're going to see how easy and streamlined it is. So it does seem like magic. So when you start thinking about what other options are available for library solutions, some things to also think about. Do you want to be hosted by the company or installed locally? Depending on which one I want, are all the functionalities the same? Am I going to get the same functionality if I decide to install it locally versus if I'm hosted by the company? How's their service? Talk to libraries, talk to other people that are using the system. Is the company privately owned or is it owned by private equity? Do they develop and support their own software? Where's the data stored if it's cloud-based? Are these important to you? Does that matter? TLC is celebrating 50 years of business, of innovation by listening and partnering with libraries. So if you want to work with a pioneering company that delivers excellent support and service and software, then you do want to partner with TLC.
All right, thanks, Tammy. So the very last question we ask at the end of every webinar is if you'd like more information from TLC. So I'm going to launch this poll, but we are also going to do Q&A. So if you answer yes on this poll, we'll follow up with you after the webinar, especially if you want to get a demo of our software or talk through some of these other options that Tammy just mentioned. But if you have any questions right now, you can use the Q&A widget at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to those in just a moment. So I did see a couple of questions come in, Tammy. Let me see if I can pull those up. All right, the first question that came in is, can I see the software even if I'm not thinking about moving? I like to know what's out there, but I feel bad about wasting someone's time if I'm not a decision maker. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, actually, I would say definitely talk to the sales consultant because even if you're not, that is exactly why you should look to make sure that the software you have is meeting your needs. So talk to the sales consultant, have a discussion. You're not wasting their time. I mean, they're happy to show you. I'm always happy to show you. And if it's not time, if you are getting your needs met, that's fine. You may say, do you know what? That's exactly what I didn't realize I didn't have by looking at some other solution. So I say, yes, definitely. It's not a waste of time. We're always happy to do that.
Yep, definitely. All right, we got one more question so far. Not a whole lot has come in yet. I am ready to upgrade, but our library system isn't. Any tips to help present this to others in my library?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would determine and work with your sales consultant. What are your biggest needs? So, and sometimes it's good to work with a committee to help determine, what are the needs of the district or what are the needs of the library, put together, really good, solid reasoning. It could be the technology behind it. Maybe it's not as robust as what it used to be. Maybe you're not getting the service and you want better service, but it's going to be, you need to have multiple things, but we're definitely willing to work with you to help determine that and help you take that to whoever needs to be helping move that forward.
And the other thing I'll mention is that this webinar has also been recorded too. So if you want to share this with someone who is maybe thinking about some of those reasons, we just provided a lot of really good ones. So maybe show them to get the conversation started, and hopefully that'll be some way to move that forward. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in at the moment. So Tammy, let's go ahead and go to our last slide, and I'll give some final words. And if I see any more questions pop up, I'll switch over. One more slide for the link.
There we go. Yep.
So this is where that recording is going to be starting tomorrow at tlcdelivers.com/webinars. We also have a lot of great webinars coming up. We have one next week that is going to be talking about the barcode services that we offer. And then in September, we are doing a number of security themed webinars. So if security is top of your mind, especially in your library, Tammy, you mentioned that today, that we've been seeing a lot of folks getting hacked or ransomware. These might be the webinars for you. So we haven't announced them just yet, but keep your eye on your inbox and go ahead and check us back at tlcdelivers.com/webinars. All right, I'm not seeing anything else. So I think, Tammy, you have answered everyone's questions really well just based on your presentation. So thank you so much for participating with Webinar Wednesday today. And everyone, thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. All right, we'll see you on the next one.